What's up, whoever's watching? Um, Today I kind of want to talk about silence. Silence from God, right? Um, Kind of taking this from, I went to a youth group, a friend invited me, and I thought that message was like kind of interesting. Um, but yeah, I want to talk about when God feels distant, because, sometimes he feels close, sometimes he feels really close, and sometimes you feel like there's just nothing there, and that's usually when you start getting doubts. You start thinking to yourself like, wait, you know and I think it's kind of like addiction, right? If you've ever been, or not addiction, mental addiction, right? Normally the way it works is you you start off really strong, right? That being like when God's close, right? And then you start to feel drift away, but you're like, no, I got this, right? You're mentally addicted to something. And then when it gets really hard, rather than you making the conscious decision to stop or to do what it is that you're trying to not do, right? And in this case, that would be like saying, I don't believe in God, and going back to a life that is unrestrained by God's commands, right? And basically, you don't make the good decision to do that, but rather you start doubting what you were saying, and you just, I don't know how, but you just start coming up with these very clever loopholes as to why you're wrong, right? And that's kind of, I feel like, what happens a lot in silence with God, right? Um, I think a lot of people, they base their faith on emotion, and I think that's a fatal mistake. You can't base it on emotion. You can't go to, if you're in like high school or something, maybe if you have grew up in a Christian family, you probably have gone to like church camps over the summer, and while you're there, usually you get like really amped up with God, and you make a big decision that you're not ready for, that you have no research, and that you are mentally unprepared for, right? And that's why a lot of times people do that, and then they leave, and a week later they're back to the way they were, right? Because your faith has to be built on actual reasoning. I've gotten several times in the comments, um, people say that it's not logic and reasoning that led me to my belief. It's just believing in it, right? Or being born somewhere, right? And those have, especially the being born, that influences, but it's not. Um, I'll probably discuss that in another video. But yeah, you need to actually believe this. You can't just decide that you feel this way, right? And that's not really what I'm talking about. I kind of got kind of just rambling about it. I might make a video on that actually. But anyways, I want to talk about the silence, and kind of how to deal with it. Um, and it's called, it's like referred to, or the way they referred to it at the youth group I went to was Silent Saturday. And basically what that refers to is we have Good Friday, right? This is like around Easter, right? So Good Friday is when Jesus died, right? That's when, and at the time of his death, his disciples, they were very sad and stuff and all this, right? And then Sunday he resurrected, so they're super happy, you know. But in between, you have that Saturday where the disciples. I mean, imagine you literally dropped everything. You dropped your job, your livelihood, your friends. You dropped all of it to follow this man, and then he dies. Like, what? I would feel so purposeless, I mean, that's like, I believed wholeheartedly in this thing, and it's not true. I bet my life savings on red and lost, right? And eventually he did come back to life. But I want to talk about that silent Saturday when there's no they don't hear God at all. They're just there. And that's something that all Christians struggle with. Everybody, right? It's not something that's specific to you. Sometimes God says no a lot, and that can make us feel like he's far away, and we forget that God says no, but um heavenly and worldly riches are very different, right? I mean, if you put your life on a scale with in heaven, I mean, it's you can't even see it, right? Um, so like to God, like money and fame, it's dirt, it doesn't matter, right? And we got to remember that because he's gonna say no. He says no. He's not a giving machine. He's not a tool that you use to get what you want, right? I mean, he had um Job. Job was super rich and then he just took it all away. And Job must have had the most, I mean, he was angry with God. He never cursed him. Satan wanted to see, was pretty much like betting, like, Job will curse you if you take everything away. And he never did. He started fantasizing about, like, judging God, which I'm not going to go into too much detail, which wasn't super great. But he never cursed him, right? Even though he must have felt so far away. Probably he felt like God was attacking him, right? And it's hard. It's very hard. Sometimes God is distant for I'm I'm kind of going through this, right? It's God just feels far, I feel like I'm not really getting success in life. But you got to remember God has a plan, I mean, your scope of your life is like a little toy magnifying glass that you bought at Walmart for $1.50 compared to God's $3 million mountain telescope that can see 10 galaxies away, right? That's the kind of difference, right? Trust God, right? You don't have to know what's happening, right? But you trust him. It's in the same way that I'm sitting in a chair right now as I talk to this microphone, right? I If the floor under me just disappeared and the chair was still there, I would like curl up in this chair and I would trust my life to it because I trust the chair, right? If someone said, I bet you $1,000 that chair, while you're sitting, I'm not going to do anything to it, is just going to break under you. And I'd be like, yeah, I'll take the bet because I trust the chair that it's not going to break, right? And in the same way, we have to trust God. We have to trust God to be there for us when we don't feel like he is, because he is, right? I mean, that's a lot. That's really all there is to it, to be honest. You have to trust him, right? And if you have other, hopefully you do. I it's especially in today's age, it's really hard to find other Christian friends. Really, real. I mean, I use this term pretty offensively, but like real Christian friends. There's a lot of people that um, like to make their own version of Christianity that I wouldn't um, include yourself in that category. That's not correct. That's how you get. In the Bible, it says someday, um, when God is coming to Earth, He's gonna look at these people, right, and they're gonna say, "God, we did all these things. We're ready. We're here," and He's gonna say, "I never knew you," right? Making your own version of Christianity is how you get to that point. You don't want to be you don't want to involve yourself with that, right? You want to share the message, try to show them that they're just wrong. But anyways, sorry, I'm getting off track. If you have other Christian friends, you can talk to them about it. They've definitely gone through it or might be going through it, right? Um, but yeah, you have to trust God, you know? It can be hard. You'll you'll start telling yourself stuff. You'll start having a lot of doubts and a lot of the time people end up deconverting, when it gets really silent, or they get in a situation like Job and they feel like God is attacking them. Um, I'm sorry, I don't really have much of a solution, but I want you to know that you're not alone. Others go through this. I don't care how perfect someone seems. Like, I don't care if you, I don't know, maybe the pastor at your church, right? Maybe he seems like the most godly man, like perfect. I guarantee you, if you ask him or her, sorry, I said him. I, the church I go to, um, it has a male pastor, so that I immediately think of a male. Females can be pastors. I'm not. There's a lot of people that use biblical evidence to say that women can't be pastors, but there's also, it's a whole thing, but I don't want to sound sexist. Is pretty much what I'm trying to say. Um, yeah, but I guarantee you, ask him or her, they'll say, yeah, I've gone through that. It's hard, but you have to trust God. And I keep saying you got to trust God because there's no secret. There's no, oh, do this, and you're gonna feel like God is in the room with you. Sorry, that's not gonna happen. And you need these silent times, right? You take recently, um, it was actually the church. It's actually the church I go to. I'm really not feeling the same about this church now, but basically, so I'm still in high school, and I still go to Sunday school sometimes. Um, but basically, they showed this video, and it was talking about the deconversion crisis, which is a real thing. It's a very, very real thing, serious thing. But pretty much, they said the solution was essentially, I don't condone this. I'm about to go off on this just 'cause I can't help myself. But they pretty much wanted to make Christianity into a cult. They said that this being mixed in with all these sinners, these people less than us, these terrible things they're saying. Um, well, they didn't say that, but it's very presumable that that's the way they feel. They said, like, you want Christians to be only talking to other Christians so they solidify their faith, right? And it's all positive reinforcement, right? And that's terrible. I mean, it's actually a disgrace to Christianity. It is never, if you hear someone start talking like that, like we need to separate ourselves, I think I do not agree with that at all. I think that is terrible. But anyway, sorry, it really makes me mad. I talked to the people at the church and but yeah, sorry, it makes me mad when people talk about that, because it puts Christians above these other people when we are just as bad. We're sinners with no hope, right? But anyways, what I was gonna say, the reason I brought that up was because if you only have positive reinforcement, let's say you have an argument for donuts are the best food, okay? And you're in a room full of people that agree and you talk about it. When you see someone that says cookies are better, it, your argument's going to fall apart because all you have is positive reinforcement. You have to have something to test that. You have to have something to test that faith. God tests us. He says that he'll never give us a test that we can't beat or complete or whatever. But he does test us, right? Because you need to strengthen your faith to go out into the world and evangelize others. You have to have a strong argument. So you need this, right? Think of it as growth in your faith when you don't feel like God is near. And that's really all I have to say. It's hard. Um, Focus on God. Consistency is key. That's something I heard a long time ago. I don't remember where it came from, but it's pretty much like motivation is cool, but you can't build off of motivation. Motivation is short-lived. What really counts is discipline and consistency. That it doesn't matter rain or sunshine, rain or sun, I don't know. Uh, you're there. Doesn't you don't need to be motivated to do something, right? Because you have discipline. And in that same way, you have to have discipline with God, with reading the Bible, praying, you know? And you always want to be trying to be more like God. Yeah. I Thanks for watching. If you have anything you disagree with, you want to say, let me know in the comments. I'll respond to it. Um I have a Discord. I'll put it in the description. You can join. You can talk about anything. You can give me video ideas that you want me to talk about. Um, game. I've been trying to find a game to put in the background for this, but I'm just so atrociously bad at everything that it's kind of hard. But yeah. God bless. I hope you have a good week, and know that God is always there. God loves you. See ya.